I had a house fire like you, and I had to put everything away. And as you know, it depends your life. Like you are, nothing is the same after that. You have your life before fire and after fire. And I had to put everything away. And when I pulled everything back out, the model for that industry had shifted a lot and had moved from first sales to consignment for small people. I'm not talking like the anthropologies of the world, but for smaller entrepreneurs like myself, that was always putting the stamp, shop local, small business Saturday. That was me. It turned to consignment, and it was really, really hard to build and flourish in that kind of model. And so I lost my mojo on it. And
shit happens. Shit happens to you and me. It doesn't matter if you're a wizard, a king, or a queen. Even if you are magic, you gotta agree. It's worth it to talk shit out, no matter how messy. Shit happens. Shit happens.
FYI, this episode was recorded February of 2024 and we are now in March of 2025. I felt like this was the perfect timing with everything that's going on in the world, but also the fact that it was just International Women's Day on March 8th. So enjoy!
Hey everybody, I'm about to hang out with the most beautiful human being I know. I love this lady so much, and I'm so sad I didn't get to see her last week, but I did get to see her last year. So, if you're new here, welcome to Shit Happens, because shit happens. I'm Paula, host of Talk Show WP, and now we have Shit Happens. And before that, I'm going to go ahead and bring this incredible, beautiful lady on the stage. Holly, baby.
hi, how's my favorite Paula doing?
I'm amazing. Oh my God, I missed you so much last week. So much.
I know. Podfest is like our little jewel, our little community. And I'm sorry I missed you on the stage, but I heard you crushed it.
I did. Thank you. And even though you were not there, you were actually there because Charlie used our picture of DC on his slide. So you were there.
Oh, I love Charlie. Charlie from Podville. We all met in DC, right, for lunch. That was so good.
And it's funny because it was like, how this community is more than, because look at what we do even beyond the community. I was like, oh my God, yes, take me back.
It's
So
true.
how have you been, Holly?
Yeah, I've been okay. It's been a little bit crazy, my life. I had to sort of step off of the business and social media train to attend to a family emergency. So I've sort of been out of the loop for what feels like most of January. So like January feels like an entire year to me right now.
I mean, January is always like a year. That's why people always say like, okay, we are starting the new year in February, because January is just always so long.
I'm right there. New Year in February.
So happy New Year, Holly.
Happy New Year. We need champagne and we need the sparklers and everything.
Before we get to anything, right? I want to know why you're obsessed with coffee, Holly, because I've never I know people love coffee, but your love is beyond. So let's talk about that.
All right. So admittedly, and without apology, I am a coffee snob. And I know I am. I'm kind of like that with all kinds of foods. Like I really, I don't know. I love to cook. I love to eat. I've been exposed to some really incredible little shops and boutiques. And I like to share really nice things. And coffee happens to be one of them. And, it's a ritual. I enjoy preparing it. I enjoy having it freshly ground and using a French press or a mocha pot. And it's like a ritual, I think a lot of people have like tea rituals and maybe around hot cocoa or maybe even just pouring a drink, like they like their drink made a very particular way. So I'm kind of like that with my coffee, I have to admit.
I like that. What's the best coffee I've had so far?
Oh, well, that's a really good question because I have a few, but right now I found this really cute place here in DC called Zeke's, shout out. And every Sunday I go to DuPont Circle here for the farmers market, which is one of the biggest farmers markets in all of Washington, DC. And they are there. And I get, it's called the 1820 espresso blend. And so that's what I've been using for, but I've been using it as my French press, not as espresso, but I could use it for either. So
Nice. I like that. I missed you,
yeah.
Kaka. And it's so sad that the one time I send you a package, you don't get it because I sent you Tanzanian coffee.
I know. And you know what? There's like a lot of thefts here in DC right off the porches, like if they see a package, and I think that's sorry.
So, one thing I learned about you as I was preparing for this is you are a mentor at what is it? SXSW. What's the long form? Oh my God, how can I not?
Oh, it's so they call it South by Southwest.
Yes, South by Southwest. And I know it's quite a very, I call it the expensive niche in this world because they really are that brand and stuff. So I want you to share about that experience.
Oh, okay. So I took a chance and applied to participate in that. And I thought it was kind of a long shot, but I got lucky in 2022 and I got to be a part of the program. And one of the things that they do is they do like a mentorship program on one of their tracks. They have many tracks. They have technology, culture, music, film, all different ones. But they do have one track under, I think it was under culture and technology. And I came in and I had this opportunity to mentor all different people. They might have been startups, they might have been planning on an entrepreneurial journey, they could have been students. You never know who you'll end up with. And strangely, this woman from Ohio University, for Scripps University there, which is a world-renowned university, she put a bunch of her students in a van and came to Austin, Texas, to South by. And I ended up like interviewing them all in a row. And it was a really cool experience. I also got to meet with 3 founders, a really cool startup called Mogul that actually won the pitch challenge there and has gone on to do amazing things. And then there was one woman that I ended up mentoring. She had read my book at the time, and I invited her to come work for me as an intern so she could get an opportunity to look under the hood of a podcast. And she took me up on it. And she was a very gifted sound engineer. And we ended up working together for a couple of seasons. And she's gone on to greater things. She's gone on to work with NPR. So I felt like maybe I had like this teensy little part in, maybe helping her round out a few skills that she wanted. So that was like really cool being able to do that. I got interviewed by a couple different places, an Asian channel, which I think is featured on my website. And I got interviewed by an app called, 2 apps. One was called Ibble, where I met our friend, Johnny, and he interviewed me. And then I'm embarrassed to say I forgot the name of the other app, but I'm not even sure. I think they were trying to compete with like a clubhouse or something. I can't remember the name. Sorry to say. It was 2 years ago, but I applied again. And so I will be back in March doing my thing.
I mean, that's impressive. So that's how you met Johnny? Look at how all these connections end up coming from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I like what you said about internships, because I feel like most people, when you offer them internships, they feel like, oh, I'm doing all this work for, but they forget how much you get from that being mentored, like being in an intern in there doing that with people. How much it's better than even getting a job that's paying you, because when you get a job, or you're being paid for a job, you just do the job. But when you're being an intern, you get to learn all the different sectors, and I feel like people are sleeping on that. And it's funny because the guy who was here an hour ago was engaged. I'm internshiping with him on his internet radio program. He started an intern program, and I consider him my mentor. So I figured, you are a mentor. You have mentored people who have gone to do amazing things. I wanted us to talk about that mentorship and how it's important in community, in society, in your growth of whatever you're doing, to have a mentor, be a mentor to somebody. So, did you ever have mentors, or how did you get into that?
I did have mentors along the way throughout my life. I'm not sure that it was something that was. I'm not even sure it really kind of had a name when I was like growing up and going through the business world. I'm not sure that we really identified it as that. You know, I'm a big believer in it. I'm also a big believer in being paid. You know, like I think mentorship is important, but I think women often get pigeonholed into offering mentorship as opposed to being consultants. So I think it's really important to sort of have a line in the sand as to how much you do of each. And I will point out, I did take her on as an intern, the woman who did come to help me in the beginning, and helped to level her up. But as soon as she started helping with other seasons, I paid her the same amount that I was paying my original editor for episodes, because she was still doing the work, and it was hours out of her day that she could have been maybe taking a part-time job somewhere. So I did move it into a paid internship once I realized that she really wanted to learn more and that we were growing together. But I think mentorship is really important because I think it's important to share whatever information you have. It's not new. Anything that we're sharing, it's not new. You're not, creating a universe, but you're sharing, you're sort of carrying the baton that's been handed to you. And so I think it's really important to mentor throughout life. And even if you haven't, and you give that gift to somebody, they'll probably pay it forward because it'll be worthwhile for them. And then at some point, especially for women, I think it's really important to have paid consultancy. I think a lot of people love to put women in that mentorship program. Similarly, how they love to put women in volunteer work. It's all important, and I volunteered endless hours, but I think it's really important to pay women their worth. I think women get asked to do that more than men, to be honest. No shade, but it's just the truth.
It is the truth. And I've also seen that, like, I've seen more, even when it comes to volunteering, or you see the numbers, you see where it's lacking. And I'm also like, don't get me wrong, I've had internships where I've been paid and I haven't been paid, and I like it when, like, if I'm being an intern and I do the bare minimum, I get it. It's gonna stay there. But if I'm being an intern and I'm proving myself, I'm really putting in the work, I'm showing up, I'm doing the extra, I really want to learn. I feel like the world is to see that I am putting in the work, right? Like how you turned it into, because she was putting in the work. But if she wasn't doing none of that, it would have stayed as an intern. Okay, your time is over. Thank you, you know. But if you see that they're literally growing and they really want it as much as they're showing it, because sometimes people say, I want it so badly, but then when you look at what they're doing in this, I want it so badly, you don't see I want it so badly in the actions. You only see it in the words, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And I think also you sort of need a little bit of time to get to know each other so that you can make sure they're not lazy or flaking out or disinterested. You know, sometimes people ask for things and they get it, and then they don't really show up for the game, if you will. So I think it is important to mentor. I think it's important to show up, and I think it's always important to have a bit of a trial period together as maybe an unpaid intern, and then to assess it. And that being said, I would also say to the person being mentored, that intern, use your voice. You know, like if you feel like after a period of time, you're bringing some worth to the table, that you are helping that person out as much as, you know, it's reciprocal. It's okay to show up to the table and say, hey, you know, I think we've reached a point in our relationship that I'd like to look at a paid opportunity with you. I think that's important too, to have it be very two-sided and not one-sided.
And that's so true, because no offense, some people will keep you in the not paid for as long as they can, especially if you don't voice it. Some people are just like that. Not everybody be like, oh my God, I see how much you're doing. Let's see how far they will take it or anything. There are only few people who actually see that and do it. And that's why I like to be in places where I will do my part.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not seeing me, I will raise it to the table and bring it like, hey, I've been doing this for this time, and this is and if it's not, it's fine. Then my time is gone. It wasn't wasted because I learned some stuff. I took a lot with me, but I just need to go take it elsewhere where they will pay me for it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. So yeah, I think both are really good. And when I was speaking at South by Southwest, I had the opportunity to create mentorship relationships with people, and consulting. A couple of them flipped over from, you know, just our initial, you know, date together to mentor in Austin, where they hired me to consult and help them build out their podcast. So that was a great opportunity, and I think it's all good. I think everybody at some point should mentor and probably consult.
Yeah, because it builds relationships, and you never know where those relationships lead you or take you. So, you, as we're talking about being paid, right? And we are women. For some reason, we are always scared of when it comes to asking for a raise or getting paid fairly, like raising our voices in those departments. For some reason, a man will walk up in there and be like, I want a raise, and walk out, but we will overthink it, how to go about it. What can I do? Am I really worth it? Am I asking too much? Am I asking too like it's always so
It's hard.
what would you suggest for people who are like, you know, as we're talking about like your mentoring, your internshiping, it gets to a point where you realize, oh my God, now I'm on this level where I need to be paid, or even just getting a raise. Like, how would you tell somebody to go about that? Because I know a lot of people have an issue with that.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You know, they say on the front side of that, when people apply for a job, women will make sure that they check all the boxes on the job description before they apply. And men don't do that. Even if they have, you know, 25% of the skill sets being asked for, they apply. So there is a discrepancy in how our brains work in terms of what we are worthy of, for starters. Then on the flip side of it, once you have a job, I think women tend to be timid about asking for what they deserve. So I'll probably share a couple resources here. So I had the gift of being able to interview two very powerful women. One's named Shelley Vallis, and she is the founder of Female Quotient. And they are an organization that really helps women understand their worth, and they are backed by a lot of very powerful women, and they show up to all of the major events. I know that they have a podcast, but they're very active on LinkedIn and in those types of communities. And I believe they have a lot of tools to help women ask for what they deserve. She's pretty amazing woman. I did get to interview her about company culture from the beginning of my show. And then another person with another resource, her name's Lindsay Kaplan, and she's the co-founder of Chief. And Chief is an organization. They started in New York, and now I think they're in San Francisco, Chicago, DC, Miami. I think they're all over now. And they're a big organization of women. And you have to be a certain level to get in, but they have a lot of resources to help them, break through that proverbial glass ceiling and lift each other up on the ladder kind of thing. So there's a couple of resources there that, maybe would help people to find some ways to use their voice. Sometimes you need that kind of mentorship. You need the resources that provide the tools that you need for your box.
We do. And I feel like I've been in that place where now I'm very vocal. I mean, if you met me in life, I was in that place where even when I know what my worth is, what I bring, because I really go into a job and I learn everything. Make sure I do that and bring amazing customers. So at some point I'm like, yo, I'm doing so much. I need a raise. But then at one point you're like, but I should feel lucky that I even have this job. And men don't think like that,
No.
and for some reason, I don't know why we have that mentality, because I would sit with other women and I would be listening to them as to why they're not asking for raise, and they have the same. Man, I'm just lucky I have a job. I'm just lucky they hired me. I'm just lucky I'm in this position. I'm just lucky.
Horrible, right?
It really is.
It's kind of like it's very unfair. I would totally say, when you deserve it, but show up with the goods. So what I would say is I would look at your original job description, and I would check off all the things that you are living up to that job description, and maybe make a list of what you are doing over and above that, a list of your accomplishments. I increased sales by 25% in catering, or, whatever it was, like make a list. So that way, when you go to sit down and ask for that raise, you could say, I'm coming to you to ask for a raise for this reason. You hired me for this job, and I feel that I've done a phenomenal job of meeting all your expectations on that. But I also want to present to you that I've done this, and this as well in my time here. And I'd like to discuss a raise going into my next calendar year with you, or something like that. So, position it so that it's not at the wrong time. Like if you're coming on like your 1 year anniversary or 2 year anniversary or whatever, come in so that you're armed with what you need to ask for that raise, and not just the conditional 4% or whatever the company deems appropriate, that you're coming for a raise that you feel merits more than the conditional raise for showing up. That I think you have to come armed with evidence.
Yeah, and that's such a for me. After listening to those women, I was like, oh my God. And then when I sit with the guys and I hear how they talk and I was like, yeah, this can be it. And it ended up being, at that time I was working retail at Home Goods, and we all had a base pay, and then, every that 1 year anniversary, they gave you that 1 cent.
2%, yeah. Oh, it's some ridiculous amount.
So, but because I made sure that I learned everything apart from just my job description.
I made sure I became this undisposable. Like, even when this person is missing today or they called out, Paula can do that. Paula can do that. Paula can do that. So I used that as my weapon. I was like, so we're going to talk about our lives better than this. So I ended up, when some of my friends later on after I left, I told them how much exactly I was making for a person in the position I was, like, because they wanted to promote me, but only with $1 extra with no work. I was like, I'm not doing that. Because sometimes people think just having the title is fancy. Like, I want the money. You can keep the title. Right? I don't care about the title. So I declined that, but in the position I was, the money I was making there, nobody was making. Even the people who got promoted to that extra dollar position, I was still making more, because every time I went to when it was my 1 year and they were talking about, we're gonna give you this, I was like, nah, I do this, I'm the only one who does this. I work every day because I come to the weekends. No. So I ended up negotiating, and I learned that. I was like, you gotta stand up, because if you really know what you're bringing, if you see what you're bringing, they will comply to it. Especially when you try to make things undisposable. And I used to tell people, I know it's just home goods and retail, so people take it, I'm just here to do my job and leave. I'm like, I'm going to learn everything. I'm going to take it as a normal job while I wait for the job I want, and show up as, even though I hate it, show up as I love it, do the damn thing, and make my value that more higher.
I think it's amazing what you did. And I think what you did by sharing what your pay was when you exited with the people that were on the same level as you, I think that was really huge that you did that, because I think we need more pay transparency so that people don't get taken advantage of, especially women. Women of color, Paula, because the scale is even lower, right? Like, and I think it's you gave them a gift that most people don't do, that by sharing that. And I think showing up and asking for what you're worth is important. You have a unique skill, Paula. You have a very high level of EQ, which is that emotional quotient. Like, you are very sensitive and warm, and you pay attention to people, like when they drift off a little bit, or you don't hear from them, or you notice that they're not like engaging. Like, you're very good at you're very empathetic, and you recognize when somebody is hurting or is not really wholly present because maybe something's on their mind. And that's a really valuable tool in business. And it's a bit of a lost art, because a lot of people aren't comfortable talking to other people, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of introverted people that don't want to really engage. They don't want to do that customer service level, if you will. But for those who are comfortable with it, like you, and for somebody who has that sixth sense about people, like, you recognize when somebody needs like a little special attention, a little Paula love, like, hey, how's it going today? Or a little text, sending hearts, like, that's your gift. And that's a big thing, like in different jobs that you take, that people, there's a lot of people that can't do it. I would probably say 80% of the people out there can't do what you do. And that's always going to be a really big gift that you can bring to the table and make more money with, because you'll be telling the higher ups, I'm the one who has my finger on the pulse of what's happening here, because I'm able to talk to people and I'm able to recognize when people aren't doing well. And a healthy, strong workforce is important to you, and I can ensure that they stay that way because I'm dialed in. I can tell when somebody is not doing well, and I'm okay with approaching them. So that's a gift that you have. I truly believe that.
Thank you so much. You're gonna make me cry. And it's funny because when you grow up, I've always been the emotional, the empathy, and I read a lot. Like, I read people a lot. Like, so, but those were the things when I was growing up were appreciated, because you're too emotional. you're a crybaby, you're too loud, you're all in our business. Because when you be like, so how are you really? Why are you in my business? You know, all that, because people were so defensive back then, and people really didn't wanna. Right now, a little bit people are more open, warm, and willing to. They want to be asked, how are you really doing, and they want to feel like they are being seen for whatever they're going through. But back then, it was like, get out of my face, leave me alone. So
Yeah.
to still be able to not lose that, because it's so easy for somebody to be like, oh my God, everybody fuck all this. Why am I being, I'm just going to keep it to myself. So for me to be able to still be that throughout all the things that has happened, and for people to appreciate me for that now means a lot. And even when if I wasn't scared about being fired at that time, I would have probably told everybody how much I was making and how to get to make more. I know there's specific people who I literally talk to, and I know they won't run to go say, but they'll find a way to use that information to help themselves. So those I shared with while I was still at home goods. Then when I left, that's when everybody was like, listen, I made this month, so don't listen to them when they say they can. You just gotta tell them what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Because they see it, they just pretend they don't see it. Because it's retail, right? I know they see it. They know what you're capable of. Because when people call out, when people do this, all that, they call you. You're the first one to step in. They're just playing stupid, especially since you also don't know how to approach it. And they're like, well, this is not coming. Why should we be the one to go to them? Because it's retail. It's not like a company that actually cares about your people. You get fired today, they'll have another person tomorrow.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because it really degrades the company culture when you cycle through people repeatedly like that. And it costs the company a ton of money to onboard and then offboard people. It's really a shame because to pay somebody another dollar an hour or whatever it is, maybe even every 6 to 12 months, and to let them know that they're doing a good job and to give them little perks along the way. Not that perks are necessarily company culture, just because there's, kombucha and iced coffee in the fridge doesn't necessarily make you want to stay. But being recognized for those things, being recognized for your gifts and paying you a little bit more and keeping that trail of money coming in says, we like you, Paula, and we appreciate the work you're doing. And we are going to give you money to, we're putting on the bottom line. We're not just patting you on the back and saying thank you. We're saying, hey, here's some cash to put in your back pocket. That makes such a huge difference. And I don't know why there's such a disconnect in businesses that way. But there is. And I do want to say something. I just want to jump back to something you said when we were younger, how being empathetic and being, having that sixth sense of emotion, like recognizing when people were blue or mad or, whatever, and you were, given a hard time, you were called emotional or too sensitive or too whatever. It was the same thing for me, by the way. And I truly think now that we're more open about discussing mental health without it being like as much of a stigma. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but like people are a little bit more comfortable like being forward about like, hey, I'm going to take a little personal time this afternoon. Just got some personal things happening. I'm not doing so well. Like people actually talk now and say it. So I actually think, and I've said this before, but I think our emotional, sensitive side is actually our superpower and not a negative. So I'm sorry that that's what you were given as that's what was said to you when you were younger, because the same thing was said to me. But I think now it's really our strength because I think like when, for example, we recognize that I had gone silent on social media for a period of time because I was going through some shit. And you reached out to me to check in. And I have some people in my life friends that I've known for years that didn't do that. So you have your finger on the pulse of that, and it is your power. It might have been presented to you as a negative when you were younger, but it is powerful. I appreciated that you did it. And then we started corresponding a little bit more because I felt very comfortable doing that because I knew that you were paying attention. And we just all want to be pay attention. You know, we want somebody to pay attention to us, right? We want to be seen when we need to be, right?
Yes. And that's true. All that you said. First of all, thank you so much for saying all that stuff. And I'm a person who don't listen to people when it comes to my life. So I'm glad that I was that way. That's why I am still who I am. Like, yeah, okay, they told me that was a negative. It is what it is, but it didn't stop me from continuing to be that way. And then now those same people thought it was a negative. Now they're the ones who want my light when they are going through their darkness. But so now it's good enough for you, but not back there. But something about, because I tell people a lot, right? Social media, as good as as good as it can be in building relationships with people all over and promoting whatever, but it also is bad because people see you posting or being on social media, they assume you are good.
Mm-hmm.
They forget that there's also tools. Not everybody, when they post, they're actually what they're feeling, what they're going through. Sometimes most of us content creators, we are always constantly being told, you need to post, you need to post. So even I might be in my bed crying and I'm putting a post up, but that's not what I'm going to. Or some people have scheduling tools. They schedule posts. So whether I'm on social media or not, my post will still be going. But people have started using the social media as long as she's on social media, she's fine. And me, I'm a person who I really read people's posts or like I see the switch. Because when I see somebody posting, whether it's scripted or not, and depending on how they're posting, if it's over like I'll be like, something ain't feeling right here. And I will reach out. But then because not the typical just scroller. I literally will, my friends will be like, Paula analyzes social media posts. I'm like, yeah, because I really want to understand and hear it. I don't want to scroll because even in my post, that's why I want engagement. I want people to actually read, feel, and engage. So I'm going to go through that. So most of the time when I see, I'm like, I need to reach out to her. I don't think she's really okay or she's feeling that. Or even when I see people not being who are normally online, and then I'm like, wait, I haven't seen Holly in here for 2 seconds. I haven't seen Christoph's post because you guys are always in my timeline, right? So I'm like, I need to reach out and just make sure they're okay. Because sometimes people just take social media breaks, just like, oh, I'm good. I just needed time off, because Instagram can do that to you.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of work, but I think it's really great that you're paying attention to the details and the nuances of people's posts. And you can tell like when it's a scheduled post and when it's like a more spontaneous, in real time kind of post. And I think it's really great that you do that. I like to read too. I guess I'm one of those weirdos that read all the captions. I follow this influencer, Taryn Delaney Smith. I think she's freaking adorable. And she posted once, I'm going to put my finger on every story of my friends and read every last word that they put on there. And I'm that person. And when
Or sometimes if I'm in a place where I can't read, I'll screenshot it so I can come back and read it and then come.
But that's juices, right? Like people are putting stuff on there for a reason. You know what I mean? It's not just like, hey, here's a fire emoji. When people really type some stuff on there, I want to read it. I want to read it,
And we talked about this when we were in DC together about how people don't really read. That's why people like they just like, but there's no engagement. Because if you actually read the post, you would have had to respond. Because have you seen how juicy my post was? Like, and that shows me that people really don't read. They just like, cause how you gonna see a whole caption like that and not respond. Like, come on.
You're right. It's so
So,
true.
so before we get to an end, I just want to find out, is coffee culture coming back? Are you giving us our coffee culture back? What's going on, Ollie?
I'm having trouble. I really am. Hello, universe. Where are you? I've gone quiet for a while with it. My last episode was with Steph Bowden the end of May, and I have been on hiatus. And I believe that stands for I hate this, because I have been waiting for the epiphany. I've been waiting for the universe to speak to me. I've been waiting for somebody to reach out and say, what about this? I hit a wall with it. You know, I every season, it kind of, the storyline shifted, and that really worked for me. I loved rebranding it from season to season. It worked for me. It's very much suits my personality. I'm a very impulsive, and I have a lot of things that interest me. So I have to keep shifting with the tide and with trend. And I have been unable to dream up a season 6 that I can wrap my heart around and be passionate about. And as we know, in the podcasting world, if you don't have passion, drive, interest, and heart in what it is you are talking about, it's pretty hard to carry your podcast and to show up and to interview people or moderate and create the content and edit it and upload it and share it. There's so many things you have to do with a podcast. It could end up being a full-time job if you allow it. And I have been stuck. Holly has been stuck, and I have just not found the answer yet. So I don't know if I have a season 6 in me, or if somebody sees something in me that I should be doing. Feel free to reach out. I don't know.
That's why I had to ask you in here. You never know who will listen to this and be like, wait, I know how to get a group back. We are going to get Holly's podcasting group back.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what I'm supposed to be doing? I've done a lot of things, as you know. So
let me share some of those amazing, incredible things you've done. Because I was amazed by them when we were having this. I was like, wait, you did it? I was like, oh my God. And that's why, people, she's my number one influencer. Like, when people talk about, oh, that's my favorite influencer, Holly is my favorite influencer. Because I feel like people feel like, to be an influencer, you really need to have high numbers. But if people really watch your stories and the incredible stuff you do and the incredible people you put on, like, you have put me on to so many people who I wouldn't have met. And that's what an influencer is. And you don't have to put me personally, but you're putting the content out there. I'm watching, I'm dissolving it, I'm resonating with it, and then I'm moving further. And I mean, we just connected we're all following the same poet. Oh my God, I forgot her name. She does incredible poems. And then you introduced me to somebody else who now I'm in love, because that man's voice. But so
I know.
you see, that's the type of influence I want. Not you having numbers and just trying to make me to go buy some shit or anything. A person who really just shares. Because Holly, you go to comedies, you go to poems, you go to fashion shows, and you just share. You support people, you support your friends, you share their work, and we just find it. That's incredible. Because people these days, even your friends will come to your stuff and they won't even post you or whatever. Like, when I'm at Podfest, everybody knows I'm at Podfest because my entire content is Podfest. If I'm at somebody's event, I'm not going to worry about taking a picture of me or whatever. I'll make sure I capture whatever so people can know your greatness who weren't here, so that they can want to be here next time. And that's what you do.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll have you know, I have toyed with the idea. I just haven't found the right thing yet. But when I was thinking about a season 6, I was kind of thinking, like, what if I did something that was truly where culture shifts and where trends start and things that I see happening? Because I have like this weird thing where I will create something and like 6 months later, I'll watch it blow up. Like it's a weird thing that happens. It's happened throughout my careers. Like here's a random thing. So people don't know this, but I was a jewelry designer for about 15 years. And I was very fortunate. I got to collaborate with some really incredible designers. And my work was carried in some pretty cool places. So I'll leave it at that. I won't get into too much detail there. Because sometimes all the name drop is very boring, right? So anyway, that's something that I did. And I did this series of, I called it All Things Wings. And I did scarab beetles and butterflies and hummingbirds. And I made them from a process. It was, well, I won't get into that detail, but it's made with a precious metal clay. So I hand sculpted them. And I made these scarab beetles. And I'm not kidding you, 6 months later, I'm seeing them in Soho, in New York City, at Me and Row. I'm seeing them in Anthropology. A year after that, I'm seeing them on Tory Burch. And I'm like, yeah, been there, done that. So it's that weird thing. Like there was this really incredible comic that I saw here in DC. There might have been 50 to 100 people in the room. And I posted about him. I'm like, this guy is gonna go to the top. And I'm not kidding you. In under a year, he has sold out every stadium across the US and across the world since then. Like I see something. I can't put my finger on it. I feel it. And then I want to share it. That's
Didn't he get a Netflix special?
Yes, he did. Yeah, Matt Rife. That's
because I kept on seeing him on your post and watching him on your post, and then the next thing and because I saw him from the beginning when you used to share him when it was like just you people in the room, and I'm like, I say you're my influence. Like when people tell me who's your top one influencer, that's you, Holly. Like,
aww, you're so sweet.
I don't know about the Kardashians or nobody. I just know Holly Shannon. I don't know. I just know Holly Shannon. Speaking of Jerry, Holly, I'm turning 35 this year. I feel like you should craft me a pic.
Oh, look at that. You're so cute. Well, so here's the thing. Happy early birthday. When is your birthday? Because I got
all the way in June. You have time. You have enough time.
Okay. So here's the problem that I have. So I do miss making jewelry. And so the reason why I stopped doing my jewelry, because a lot of people are like, well, why don't you get back into it? I had a house fire like you. And I had to put everything away. And as you know, it depends your life. Like you are, nothing is the same after that. You have your life before fire and after fire. And I had to put everything away. And when I pulled everything back out, the model for that industry had shifted a lot and had moved from first sales to consignment for small people. I'm not talking like the Anthropologies of the world, but for smaller entrepreneurs like myself, that was always putting the stamp, shop local, small business Saturday. That was me. It turned to consignment, and it was really, really hard to build and flourish in that kind of model. And so I lost my mojo on it. And now I live in DC, and I live in a smaller setting. And so I don't have a bench, and I don't have my torch, and I don't have all of my tools. I'm just not really set up for it here. So I will send you something from a prior collection for your 35th birthday that I still have, but I haven't been able to set up shop again. So
we need to the gods to hear. Please bring all the mojo for Holly. For Holly, we need to get her because she hasn't wrote another book. By the way, she's also an Amazon bestseller. So she hasn't given us another book. She's not. There's no any signs of season 6. There's no jewels coming to life. Mojo, please bring some mojo over here. All the gods. I need to go do my God's rainy dance tonight so that some sprinkles can fall down on you, okay?
Yeah, I have to come up for my ad. I have to be the Phoenix rising. I need help. Anybody, come hire me to do something special with you. I love to collaborate, so that's what I need.
Or you'll be like, if you ever watched, oh my God, what was that show where everybody, Game of Thrones, when the dragons finally got out of there and flew and they blew out the smoke, that's how you're gonna rise.
I'm gonna have a GOT above my head, right? Like a little symbol. Come on, GOTs, where are you? It's the biggest audience. They'll find me.
But anyway, if anybody wants to collaborate with Holly or have some ideas, whatever, we are always, and the best creators, we're always willing to listen and hear, because you never know by talking to somebody else. I just having a coffee meetup and just talking, something might spark, because you might be inspired from somebody who you didn't even expect, or from a conversation that you weren't even expecting to be inspired. So y'all send some positive mojo to Holly, okay?
Thank you.
Holly, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And people go get her book, Zero to Podcast. It's on Amazon. And this is why I tell you she's an influencer, because it was top 10 bestseller in 3 categories, okay? And it was also Amazon's hot new release. She's also 40 under 40. She's that, like, oh my God, we need this human back in this creative world. So let's bring her back.
You.
But before we end this, Holly, since you are right in that stuck moment, so I'm gonna put you on the hot seat, and maybe this might also, because sometimes sometimes we are very good to advise somebody, like, and then we are going through the same shit, but the advice we gave, we don't give ourselves, like, So I'm asking you, if I was that friend who was stuck right now, who was in your position, who's feeling what you're feeling, what advice would you give me?
You're good. You are good, Paula. So I would probably say reach out to people that you trust, that have seen all of your true colors and still love you without judgment, and maybe ask them what they have seen in you at the height of your creativity. What really showed up, and where you think their passion was along the way. Because, passion ebbs and flows. So I think talking to the people closest to you could help reveal that. And I would probably say, if you're more introverted and you're not really comfortable having those deep dive conversations, I'm a deep dive girl, so I don't mind it. But some people don't like it. I would say trust in yourself and grab a pad, like old school, with a pen, not your phone, because then, of course, if you have your phone, you're going to be like checking social media.
Distracted, yep.
So you need to go sit quietly on your back porch with a pad and a pen, and just writing down anything you have enjoyed doing throughout your life. I don't care if it's like rock climbing, writing to your grandmother, making fun drinks with friends. Maybe it was a particular job and there was a role that you played, like, I don't know, editing podcasts, whatever. Just write down all of the things that you've ever enjoyed doing, and then just sit with it for a little bit and come back to it, because we're always our best editor later. Come back and look at it later and see if you see any through lines in your creativity, or something that you might want to go back to that you've done before. So that's what I'd probably advise.
Now look at that. That is a perfect advice. And since February is your new year, we are beginning February. So I'm going to give you a homework. In this month, go do something like that. Start with that. Go. The same advice you're giving us, do that. Please. Okay. Thank you.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Before we go, Paula. I love you too, Holly, and thank you for coming on. Let the people know where they can find you if they want to connect with you, or just vibe with you, or have coffee with you.
Yeah. So I'm in DC, so I'm always open for coffee, but hollyshannon.com, try to keep it simple. If you want to launch something, collaborate, podcast, start a podcast, need a speaker for something, hollyshannon.com. And I'm on Instagram. I have like 2 followers. Paula's one of them, and probably my mom's the other. So, like, I am not an influencer and I don't profess to be, but I do have some fun on Instagram. And I'd love if you join me on there, and feel free to follow if you want or not, whatever. I hope to see you somewhere.
You should, because you're gonna enter a different world. Our the stuff she shares, especially if you're into the world of art, you will find a lot of things that will end up coming you and into a whole different world. So follow her. Go ahead and follow her. And with that said, thank you all for those who joined. Thank you for joining. If you're gonna watch this later, I do hope that this inspires you, motivates you, or maybe ends up connecting you with Holly for a collaboration, because we are looking forward to that. Thank you all for chilling with Shit Happens, because shit happens over here.